What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another edition of the DFS OGs podcast right here on RotoGrinders.com. Back as always with my boys headChopper and Notorious to break down the Week 13 main slate, giving you picks, some value plays. We'll cover all the games against the spread, the totals, try to give you all the information you need for a successful Week 13. Let me bring in my boys here. The Chop Man, Notorious. Chop, how we doing, brother?
Doing good. Getting ready for just a full week of football action, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's busy out there, no doubt. Thanksgiving is in our rear view, and now we turn to the main slate. I know you got college all weekend long as well. Notorious, I know you're cranking out NBA, golf, a lot going on. How you doing, brother?
Yeah, doing good. I have like a 6-week break from golf, so looking forward to that. NFL, it was okay last week, week 12. Had a pretty good team other than Julio. I needed a decent game out of him, and he just couldn't come through, got hurt late in the game, couldn't even lift his shoulder. So, yeah, we'll see. I guess this is after Thanksgiving, so I guess you guys already know if he's playing on Thursday or not.
Yeah, same. Julio was a disappointment. Had a pretty good week, though. A lot of Derrick Henry. I was heavy on the Jets. Had a really good lineup. Unfortunately, Jamison Crowder and Tyrell Williams did not pull their weight, or it would have been a very good week. But all in all, solid week. So let's keep the momentum going here, guys. Week 13 main slate here on DraftKings, FanDuel. Let's start. First game, Tennessee and Indianapolis here. Interesting divisional game. Speaking of Derrick Henry here, Derek, do we go back to the well? Not as easy of a matchup. Your Jags have not been good against the run. This is a much stiffer test. The price has gone up on them. But we know, big numbers last week. People want to go back to a guy like that. So, Derrick Henry, thoughts there? The passing game, Tannehill's been very productive here. Maybe that's the route we go. And then, are you a believer in Jonathan Williams? Looked good last week. Can we go back to that well?
Yeah, start with the Titans. It's hard to believe, but Tannehill over the last 4 or 5 weeks is like second only to Lamar Jackson in terms of fantasy points scored. So he's been playing really well, coming off of another 33 fantasy point outing last week against the Jaguars. Pretty good matchup this week against the Colts. I know they don't let you beat them deep, but should have some opportunities here. It's indoors, so you don't have to worry about the weather. As far as Derrick Henry goes, I mean, he's priced up, and it's hard for me to believe that, the time of year necessarily correlates to fantasy production, but every single November and December, he just comes alive, and, maybe it's the weather, but at the same time, usually Tennessee has decent weather this time of year. So I don't know what it is. Maybe he just, gets into his best shape late in the season, but it's hard to go away from him in tournaments. I don't think you can, look at him in cash games necessarily at this price point because he's still not too heavily involved in the passing game. But I think you can look at him in tournaments. He does have that slate-breaking upside that you're always looking for. As far as the receivers, it's just hard to bet on any of them. I mean, Brown, Davis, they're both decent plays at their respective price points, but not really anybody that I'm forcing in there. And then for the Colts, Brissett's game manager. I think he's, a fine cash game option. The way to beat the Titans is definitely through the air rather than on the ground, although Fournette did have a pretty nice game against them last week. Jonathan Williams is interesting. He saw 27 touches with Mack out, played on 67% of the snaps, so it looks like he's got the job for the time being. Doesn't look like Wilkins is going to be too involved. So I don't hate Williams at 5,300, and then T.Y. Hilton at home is always viable. And with Eric Ebron out, I do think that opens up some more targets for Jack Doyle. Only 3,300 on DraftKings. Think he'll probably be one of the popular punt plays at the position.
All right, Chop, what do you got here? Titans and Colts.
Let me see. Titans, Colts. So I think I agree with a lot of what Notorious said. Derrick Henry, I would say a lot of his strength at the end of the year comes from, first off, these defenses by now they've had a grinding 3 months, and now we're getting later and they're getting more fatigued. And this guy's a monster. So he's a physical specimen out there. That's hard to tackle. Now you get to a point of the year where a lot of these defenses know that, well, we're not going to the playoffs or we're not that good. And then, so you already have a little bit of tough time going out there, and now you got to tackle this guy. Yeah, we're not even going anywhere, and you want me to tackle this guy? I don't know, man. I think that's what kind of happens. But he definitely kicks it up another notch here in December. So keep rolling with him, man. Why not? I've seen enough of him to know that, he's got that big game upside. So roll him out there. I just can't trust their passing game very much with the way they play offense. So it's just Derrick Henry on that side of the ball. And then on the flip side over there, this Tennessee defense is playing really well lately. So I had to have a hard time forcing a bunch of these Colts in there. But yikes, man! I don't think Williams repeats that performance from last week, and maybe it's a TY week. So been kind of waiting on him to. Maybe he feels a little bit better than he did last week, and if he gets a little bit healthier, he's back at home. We always like him at home. Maybe it's a TY week, but, yeah, other than Derrick Henry, there's nothing that jumps out on this game for me.
Yeah, I'm pretty much with you. Not the most exciting game here. I do like some A.J. Brown's been really coming on. Tannehill been playing well, but all in all, I think this is more of a fade. Let's take a look at the line. 2.5 for the Colts, 43.5 on the total, Chop.
Give me – boy, that's a tough one. 2.5. I think people would be leaning Tennessee, so I'll change it up and go the Colts at home.
There you go. Flipping the script. Derek, what do you got?
Yeah, I like the Titans to put up some points here, and I think it's going to be a close game, so I'll take the over.
I am with you on the over. Spread, I'm not sure. I think either team can win this game. Should be a good battle, close game, but I think there will be some points here, so give me the over as well. All right, next game, got the red-hot New York Jets going into Cincinnati. Speaking of red, Andy Dalton back in that lineup there.
Hello.
So does that help this team? Obviously, Ryan Finley been terrible, but going back to Andy Dalton, are we higher on the Cincinnati guys here than the Jets? Hard to argue with Sam Darnold. Production's been there. I think it's another week you can play some Sam Darnold as a value quarterback.
Yeah, after getting benched, Dalton's going to come out and try to win some games so that they can't have that number one overall pick. You got to think he's not too happy right now. 4,700, that's certainly cheap for a guy that is a capable NFL quarterback. Pretty decent matchup against the Jets. Are much better against the run than they are against the pass. So I do think he's a viable punt play quarterback. I think it's definitely a boost to his pass catchers as well. Tyler Boyd, 5,500. Auden Tate, only 3,800. That's certainly interesting. Got to wait and see on A.J. Green. I don't think he's going to play, but you never know at this point. Probably won't be messing with the running backs, though. The Jets have just been so good against the run that hard to trust Mixon at that price point. And then for the Jets, yeah, everyone's kind of priced up a little bit. Darnold over 6K. Didn't think we'd see that again this season. But it's a great matchup. The Bengals, 31st in DVOA against the pass, 25th in DVOA against the run. That's a good spot for Le'Veon Bell once again, although he has only played 55 and 57% of the snaps the last 2 weeks. I still think he can get it done playing around 55 to 60% of the snaps, but it's worth pointing out because he is priced up. And then for the receivers, I like Robbie Anderson. I think he can beat him deep in this one. I know Crowder and Thomas have been more productive on a week-to-week basis, but I continue to chase the upside for Anderson, and eventually it'll pay off.
Not last week for Crowder. The week I jump on him and I stack and he shits the bed. So I agree with you, though. I think the Jets' passing game in play here. I think Le'Veon Bell back in play. So I really like the Jets side of things. Chop, what do you got here, Jets and Bengals?
Yeah, the Jets, the passing game, just like you guys said, they're fine. On the other side there, Cincinnati, the first thing that popped into my head when I heard Andy Dalton is back to starting, the first thing I thought was, okay, now I can play Tyler Boyd again because he's had some great matchups for a few weeks with Finley as his QB, and he couldn't take advantage of any of it because the quarterback play was so bad. So I think I can go back to Tyler Boyd here. I think he's actually one of my favorite wide receivers this week on that side of the ball. And yeah, I'm with you. Just I think it's a good pass heavy game here for both teams. So I think the passing games are perfectly on point for DFS.
All right, we got Jets road favorites here, -3.5, 41.5 is where that total sits, Chop.
Well, sometimes your DFS research leads you to a good side of that game. So I like the passing games. I think there's some points scored. So I'm gonna take the over here on the point spread.
I am as well. I think it's Finley. You're probably going under the 41.5. I think you could see a similar to what the Jets had last week, kind of win handily here. But I think Dalton back in there, probably realizing his job's on the line, career maybe on the line. Maybe we get a spirited effort here from Cincinnati. So I'll go the over as well. Derek, what do you got?
Yeah, I'll go the over, and I'll parlay it with Cincinnati, whether you want to do money line or the points. I think they're in a pretty good spot. The Jets
calling the W.
They lost to Miami for their first win in the season too, right?
I believe so, yeah. Jets it's been a weird season for the Jets, no doubt. So I like that call, but all three of us on the over there. All right, next game. Hey, another somewhat of a dud here, at least on one side. Washington and Carolina. Haskins, boys, out there taking selfies. You guys see that? Was not even available for the last snap. So
that was terrible.
Yeah, I mean, what's more terrible is how do the Lions lose to the Redskins? I mean, that's terrible. But game here for Carolina. I think it's what do you want to do with Carolina, Chop? Obviously, McCaffrey in play back at 10,500. DJ Moore has been outstanding here over the last couple weeks. Kyle Allen came back to life. How about Curtis Samuel, Greg Olsen, some of these other guys? Can we go there? Is it an onslaught spot here? And Washington pretty much a fade for me. I don't see anything worth playing on that side.
Yeah, I definitely think it's an onslaught right here. Washington, the stat I read yesterday about the touchdowns on offense that they scored per game over the last 7 weeks, it's sick, man. They don't score offensive touchdowns. If you can't get in the end zone, I have no interest in you for DFS. So that's a full fade for me. In Carolina, man. 10-5 is a big number for a running back. And the guy fell into the end zone last week, I think 3 times, once on a pass, and I think he got in twice rushing. And he still barely even made you feel comfortable with that big salary. So that's just tough to pay off and exceed your expectations with that kind of salary. So I wouldn't blame somebody if they wanted to fade him. Not at all. It's a big salary. You can do that. So DJ Moore's coming around. The secondary for Washington's falling apart. They're healthy scratching Josh Norman, their big free agent acquisition here a couple years ago, and he's a healthy scratch these days. So basically, DJ
Josh
Moore.
Norman revenge game here, Chop.
Josh Norman might not even be playing this week. I think they've had enough of that. So and please, oh man, if Josh Norman plays in this game, DJ Moore's a lock button for me.
Absolutely.
This he's terrible these days. So I kind of like the passing game here, specifically DJ Moore.
Yeah, I think Moore is interesting. A lot of people are going to go to McCaffrey, and it's always the question, is there enough value on the slate? I think is the big answer. But Washington giving up a ton of production to the running back position, receiving yards. I mean, they're amongst the worst in the league. Carolina at home. I think the only worry, Derek, is does Carolina take their foot off the gas? If they get up big, maybe they put McCaffrey in some bubble wrap. But guys playing 100% of the snaps, so maybe that's a bad way to look at it. But what do you think here? McCaffrey, Moore, all the above?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of tough to not play a guy because of a blowout, just because even if it does turn into a blowout, you got to think he, plays well while he's on the field anyway. But yeah, for me, like you said, I think it just comes down to the value that you can build around him. If you can build a pretty good team, I don't see a reason to fade him. I know he scored those touchdowns last week against New Orleans, but the week before he had 33 without a touchdown. So I think he can get the job done multiple ways. I'm fine going back to DJ Moore. He's definitely the wide receiver one in this offense. But those two would be the only two I would look at over here. I don't really think they're going to air it out a ton since they will be playing with the lead. And then the Redskins complete fade for me. And, Haskins, it'd be one thing if he had a big game and was taking selfies, but 45% completion rate, 155 yards, 2 turnovers, no touchdowns. And he's over there taking selfies instead of
unbelievable.
Instead of being on the field kneeling down to win the game. So, pretty crazy. But full fade for me on Washington. I think the Panthers defense, you can load up on them.
I get it. You're excited. You won a game, but act like you've been there before. I mean, you've been playing football. This isn't your first football game, so just was totally shocked by that. But, all right, let's take a look at the betting market. Minus 9.5 here for Carolina. A low total here, 40.5 there.
Ooh, 9.5 hammer Carolina.
Yep, I'm with you. I think it's all Carolina. I think that should be 12, 13, and may get to that point here by the time we get to Sunday. So I would jump in now while it's under 10. Chop, what do you got?
Yeah, that was going to be my pick, right? Carolina, yeah, that's just Washington can't score these days, so get on Carolina.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like Cleveland against Miami. I know Miami pulled closer, but I think this one is just Carolina's going to be able to do whatever they want in this game against Washington. All right. Next one, game of the year, baby. San Francisco and Baltimore. So Lamar Jackson, obviously the MVP frontrunner, coming off that big Monday night game, just did whatever he wanted, looked great against the Rams. the Niners statement win at home over my Green Bay Packers. Look dominant defensively, offensively. Chop, this one looks like a lot of fun to watch as a football fan. I think Lamar's in play. Are there any more plays in this game? Kittle had the big game, obviously, but maybe this is one of the better games to watch and not play DFS, or are there more plays here than maybe I'm seeing at first look here?
No, I agree with you that statement right there. It probably looks like a better game to watch than it is to play in DFS. I'll say this. Call me like, I'm not old school, but whatever it is, I guess old man. But I'd rather I like to see like a Super Bowl matchup when the Super Bowl teams meet. I want to see that be for the first time. So if these two teams meet again in the Super Bowl, I don't want them to have already faced this year. I don't know why. I know that you can't really determine that or get around that, but if these two teams squared off in the Super Bowl, I'd want it to be for the first time. But we got to do it during the regular season. So
that's an old man undertake there.
Yeah, it's something like that. I don't know what that is. Maybe that's just some OCD kicking in for some. I don't know, but. For DFS, man, Lamar's great, but do I really want to pay top dollar? I don't want to play anybody against San Fran. I don't want to pay top dollar for anybody against San Fran for sure, no matter how good you are. So I don't want to go Baltimore. And then Frisco on the other side, the Baltimore defense is playing really good lately, and Frisco's not exactly the most exciting thing. I would imagine they try to either put their head down and run over them with Coleman, and if Brieda's healthy, Brieda, or try to get some action going to Kittle. But either way, I don't think they're all that successful in Baltimore. So it's not a good DFS game for me. Let's be honest, guys. I'll scratch it off. I hate to do that to the people. The people want picks, but sometimes you just got to pass on a game.
And sometimes you don't force everything and spread yourself too thin and try to cover every base as well. So I'm of the same viewpoint here. I just don't see. I mean, Lamar's always in play. You want to go there? I'm never going to talk you out of Lamar the way this guy's playing. And San Francisco, probably the best, top 3 defense at least in the league. So I'm just staying away from this one as of now. Maybe that changes. But, Derek, your thoughts here. Are there more plays than we're seeing here on the surface?
No, I'm with you guys. Since trading for Marcus Peters, getting Jimmy Smith back, Baltimore, probably the best secondary in the NFL. They held the Patriots to like 13 points until a late touchdown. They held the Texans to 7 points, and they held the Rams last week to 6 points. So this is a really good defense. They're tough. They've gotten much better against the run over the last few weeks as well. So no interest on the Niners side. And then, look, I won't talk anyone out of playing Lamar Jackson. He scored 36, 26, 29, 33, 33, and 36 fantasy points over his last 6 games. So he could easily get the job done again. But if you're paying all the way up for a quarterback, I'll just take Mahomes in a better matchup. And that's pretty much how I see this game breaking down. I'll watch it, but I won't be targeting it.
Yeah, I mean, both of these teams want to run the ball, and you're talking about 2 top 10 defenses versus the run. Both of these teams are very tight end based. 2 top 5 teams against tight ends so far this season. So I just don't see it. And the total a little bit higher than I thought it would be, Derek, 45.5. Baltimore minus 5.5. Any strong leans in either of those?
Yeah, I think I'll just take Baltimore. They're crushing teams right now. I'm not a big believer in Jimmy Garoppolo. I think he's fine, but I don't think he's as good as he gets credit for. So I'll take Baltimore.
Derek, we are on the same page this week, my man. I'm going Baltimore as well. I mean, I think it's going to force Jimmy Garoppolo to do something. I don't think that's what the 49ers want, but that's what's going to happen. And I just don't see him being productive on the road, hostile environment against this defense. So I think we start to see maybe some kinks in the armor here of the Niners, especially offensively. And I think Baltimore continues to roll. So give me the Ravens. Chop, what do you got?
Well, I'd be a little worried that neither one of these teams, especially San Fran, doesn't want to tip their hand just in case they do meet this team in the Super Bowl. So they don't want to here's our strategy for Lamar, and we're going to shut him down doing this. But they won't show it this week because, well, why would you if you think you may play him in January or February in the Super Bowl? So I'm a little worried there, but I'm going to go with what I think is going to happen. I think
all right, old man under for Chop. Surprise. Love it, though. I think this could be a defensive game. So moving on. Next game for us, 2 Florida teams here, Tampa Bay and Jacksonville. Jacksonville, a tough spot there, Derek. Derrick Henry ran all over them. Tampa Bay coming to town. A very nice game for them last week.
Rub it in on him. Rub it in on him,
Oh,
Beer.
I got to, man. I can't. My team's up next, so he'll have his chance to retort here. So I got to get him in while I can. But I think an interesting game here. I'm very, very interested in this game. I think there's a lot of different plays, but I'll throw it to you guys. Derek, let's go to you. Any retort here on your Jags, but is this a spot that you want to load up in that passing game? We know Tampa Bay's been bad. DJ Chark, Conley, Westbrook, I think even Foles may be in play. What do you got here for your Jags?
See, here's a little life hack. You just target guys against your favorite team. That way, no matter what happens, you're kind of happy. I had Henry last week and was cheering for him to go off against the Jags. So, it was pretty bad, but they have the worst defense according to DVOA against the run. So it should be interesting this week since we know Tampa Bay wants to air it out. Ronald Jones maxes out around 50% of the snaps, so it's hard to trust him, but he's at least worth a look in tournaments. We've seen him have a couple big games this season. Godwin coming off that huge game kind of makes me want to go back to Evans, especially since he's $800 cheaper. But I don't really know what to do with Tampa Bay. Just don't really feel great. I think the Jaguars' defense is interesting. Winston just continues to turn the ball over, so I don't mind looking to them. And then, for Jacksonville, it's pretty simple. Buccaneers, number 1 in DVOA against the run, 25th against the pass. They've been the biggest pass funnel defense in the NFL this season. So I'll be going to Nick Foles, 5,700, like that price point. Love Chark, love Westbrook, and I'll be attacking it that way. I do think Fournette's okay since he does do a lot of pass catching out of the backfield. But 7,500, this kind of feels like the spot for me to hop off.
All right, Chop, one question for you. Is it BDN season for you here in Week 13?
You know what? Why not? I mean, why not? Sure, I'll go for that. I can go for that. You sold me on it already. I think this game has a chance to put up some points. So for no other reason than Tampa Bay just does that with all their opponents. They're just that bad back end on that defense, and Jacksonville's got the weapons. So let's start off with Jacksonville. Yeah, I think all those guys are in play. I think the one big fade for me would probably be Fournette. Just because, I mean, he may get to work in the passing game, but Tampa Bay definitely tries to bottle up running backs enough that I don't have to have Fournette at 7,500. Is that DraftKings or FanDuel? I need to check my prices. So DraftKings.
Fournette, 75 on DraftKings.
All right, that's a big number right there for a guy who I think has a tough matchup this week. I like the passing game, full Shark, even sprinkle in a Westbrook. Why not? On the flip side, it's going to be up to Tampa to keep this thing close, to keep Jacksonville passing. So you can always. I've seen enough of Jameis this year. It doesn't matter the matchup. If he's hot, he's hot. We can run him out there with his 2 wide receivers. Pick one. It's a coin flip as to which one's going to have a monster game. I think all but one or maybe 2 games this year, one of them had a slate-breaking performance. So just pick one. Put one of those guys on every single lineup, and you'll be all right. So I like the passing games here. I mean, if you want to take a shot on the matchup with Ronald Jones, go for it. But he hasn't shown me enough on the ground to tell me that that they're going to take advantage of it with Ronald Jones. He's more of a pass catcher kind of guy, so I don't know if I want to play the matchup here with Ronald. I'd like the passing games more. Yeah,
I'm with you guys. I mean, I'd love to play Ronald Jones here after seeing running teams just dominating Jacksonville, but they continue to give work to Peyton Barber. I mean, he's not going away. 11 carries last week, so I'm more at the passing game as well. Evans down to 6,900, so you're getting him at a discount. Godwin, the price is up, but hard to argue with the production. And then Jacksonville, I think you could take a shot on any of those pass catchers. I think Chark bounces back in a big way. So my turn to take the L here. Oh, first we gotta put a spread bet in before we get to my Packers here. Almost jumped ahead of myself, but we got -1.5 for Jacksonville. Chop 48.5. Pretty high total here.
Yeah, I think I've got to go the over here. If I'm feeling some passing coming on.
I got to go against you, Derek. I got to go with Tampa. I just think they're the better team here, so I'll take the 1.5, maybe even a little money line here on the Bucks.
I'm going to pull a Chop and abstain from this game.
Well played. Well played. All right. Now I can take the L. Green Bay. Hey, not good in San Francisco, obviously. Just a total debacle there. We're totally dominated on both sides of the ball now. Hopefully get to rebound here, but on the road again in New York, Chop. So ideally a good spot. I think Devontae Adams was about the only guy that was productive there. I think you can go back to him. Maybe go back to some Aaron Jones here on the Green Bay side. The Giants, the big question, is Saquon get it going here? A great matchup here. I liked him last week. Was close. Almost had a long touchdown. Do we go to Saquon Barkley here? Price is down. Matchup maybe about as good as it gets right now.
Well, for Green Bay, I'll start there. And I think it's I think Green Bay is an interesting team this week with this good matchup. They're interesting because they're so concentrated in their touches here. You know, Aaron Rodgers is going to just throw to Devontae all day long. We don't see hardly any of Allison, Lazard, Scanlon. Like, those guys are almost non-existent. So he's going to target Adams a ton. And he's also going to target Aaron Jones and Jamal Williams out of the backfield. Aaron Jones has the huge slate-breaking ability because of the touch. Man, he sees a sliver of that end zone and he gets there. So Aaron Jones has the big upside. And Jamal Williams has the cheaper price, but he can get there too in the passing game especially. So I like Green Bay. I like those four guys for Green Bay. You know, they just all the touches are going to go to those three skill guys, and Aaron Rodgers is going to fling it around. I'm sure he's a little embarrassed about last week, so I'm sure he's going to have a big game. And for your Saquon question, I have to say no. I'm going to – like, it's not like some of these matchups have been terrible. Some of these matchups have been good for him, and he can't get it going. And he hasn't gotten anything going. I mean, nothing going since the injury. So I got to think that that's playing a part in what's happening to him. You know, he came back very fast from a very severe injury. I just think that that's probably wearing on him right now, and he's just not able to do the things we expect him to do. Like, when you're at that level of athleticism, what makes you that much better than everybody else at this level, the NFL, is just the smallest margin. And him losing just a little bit because of an injury probably takes away a ton of that, separation from him and the other guys. So as long as the injury is still in question for me, I can't play him. He's gotten 1.5 yards per carry over the last 7 weeks or something like that, something terrible. So I'm going to pass on Saquon. If anything, Daniel Jones is an interesting option, cheap price. He gets weapons. You know, he's got Sterling Shepard back. Golden Tate's good. Maybe he gets Ingram back eventually here, and he's got the weapons to throw to, and he can run. So Daniel Jones is my sleeper pick this week.
Yeah, I don't hate that. I keep trying to make Saquon work, and it's not working. So you feel like you're invested sometimes. You continue to throw the dollars in the furnace, Jeff. That's me with Saquon. So I like the Daniel Jones call, though. Just keep an eye on Golden Tate. Is in the concussion protocol. We'll see with Evan Ingram if he's able to return as well. But if they're at full strength or even close, I think that may be an interesting way to go here, as they're likely playing from behind as underdogs here at home. Derek, your thoughts here? I think there's a lot of interesting plays here, Packers and Giants.
Yeah, I agree with Chop. Everything for the Packers. You know where the ball is going to go. It's going to go to Rodgers, Adams, Jones, Williams. And then if you need a super sneaky play, Lazard, since Adams has come back, he's had the second highest target share and the second highest air yard share. So at 3,700, I think you can add him to your MME pool. But for the Giants, I do like Saquon Barkley a little bit more than Chop. Look, it's a great matchup, like you said, Beer. He played on 97% of the snaps last week. He wasn't even on the injury report. They asked him about being shut down for the season, and he shut that down immediately. He said, the mindset of me sitting out the rest of the season is beyond me. I don't agree with it, and it's not going to happen. So, look, I like everything that he's saying. I like that he's not on the injury report anymore. I know he hasn't been great, but he's been going up against the Bears and the Jets, two really good run defenses. So 7,400 for a guy like that, I'll take some chances on him, especially in this matchup. And if Tate ends up being out with that concussion, I don't mind looking to Slayton as kind of a GPP play as well.
And that Slayton dude is good. I wish he would get more opportunities. So if you're in a dynasty league, I know it has nothing to do with DFS. I would be stashing that guy. So, but Saquon, Derek, sounds like you're with me shoveling the dollars in. But Green Bay, 28th DVOA against the run. So we mentioned the matchup here. I think it's only a matter of time before he has a big game. So I will be on a lot of the Giants here. I'm going to take the Giants with the points as well. 6.5 is the spread. Look, I watched this team closely, and I don't think the Green Bay Packer team is very good. I'm going to be honest with you. The record looks good, but things could be a lot differently. They've been exposed a lot of weeks. So give me the Giants plus 6.5 total at 45.5, Derek. You like either of those?
Bear, you're living the hedge life. I like it.
I got to, man. Got to. Like you said, if I bet on the Giants and my team wins, hey, it happens.
As Chop so eloquently puts it, when you like all the guys for DFS, you gotta like the over. So I'll take the over.
Chop, same for you?
Yeah, I think I'm going over here. I think we see some passing out of the Giants this week, and that propels us to the over.
All right, next game, Philadelphia gets their chance here with the Miami Dolphins this week. So a big question mark here, Carson Wentz. Obviously, we got to keep an eye on that, make sure he's healthy. But if not, I think there's a lot of ways you can go with Philly here, obviously against Miami. The question is, what do we do on the other side? Fitzpatrick, look, he's battled. He's put numbers on the board. He's going to Devontae Parker. I would leave the running game alone, but I think those two guys back in play against the secondary. So, Derek, your go here, Eagles and Dolphins.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to break down the Eagles because everyone's hurt. I mean, Wentz has an injury. Howard, they don't know if he's going to be clear for contact this week. Jeffrey, Aguilar, they're all banged up. So kind of just take a wait-and-see approach. I've played Miles Sanders back-to-back weeks. I've been let down back-to-back weeks. But he has played on 85% of the snaps the last two games. Opportunities have been there. You can't ask for a better matchup against Miami. So if he's out there with Howard out, then I'll have a hard time not going back to him a third straight week. Both tight ends firmly in play. Goddard and Ertz, I think it's a great spot for them. And then any quarterback under 6K against the Dolphins is worth a look, especially someone as talented as Wentz. I know he's banged up a little bit, but pretty much everyone for the Philly is going to be in play. And then for Miami, I just don't know what to do. Balaj, his snap count down to 38% last week, so it looks like it's going to be a timeshare with Laird and Gaskin moving forward. Fitz hasn't flashed a ton of upside, and he's only $400 cheaper than Wentz, so I would just rather, play the other quarterback in this game. The one option that you can look to for Miami is Devontae Parker. 6th in receiving yards over the last 3 weeks, 31 targets during that stretch. He's still only 5,700, so you're getting a wide receiver 1 price as a wide receiver 2. And, yeah, that's pretty much it for me.
All right, Chop, do you want to enter the Patrick Laird touting business? That was a big topic on Twitter here, so I don't know if you have an official statement here about Patrick Laird, but that was a topic. But what else you got here? I agree with Derek. Tough to handicap Philly with all the injuries, but Eagles, Dolphins, and Patrick Laird season for you, Chop.
No, it is not Patrick Laird. He's just not even that good, period, much less having a –
He's better than Balaj. I think we can give him that. I think that's all we can give him. But I'm not going to go that far. I'm not even going to go that far. I mean, I think he's probably a better pass catcher, so maybe we get there on that route. But I can almost guarantee you, he'd stick his head into the line and he'd probably gain about the same yards per carry as Balaj. Neither one of them is very good. So I think the Devontae Parker call is the way to go. So Devontae Parker he's Fitzpatrick's guy, man. Finally, somebody is getting the ball to Parker, and I don't mind it. I don't mind that at all. I don't mind Fitzpatrick to Parker at all this week. On the flip side, so there's been some really odd disappointments that we didn't expect, coming into this year. Like if you were drafting best balls during the summertime or drafting season long or what have you in August, like some things you just didn't see coming. One of them was like I guess I'm going out on a limb now and saying the best ball shares of AJ Green didn't quite pay off for a lot of guys, right? So even taking them at a discount,
I know, right?
Did not work.
Here we are in like week, what is this, 12 or 13? I don't know what
13.
It is. 13, and that guy, I'm shocked that he hadn't even stepped on the field. Like that's just, I thought it was going to be like first 4 weeks of the season, then we get him back, and 13 weeks so far, and he's not even going to be on the field. So that was a big disappointment. Carson Wentz is another one. I didn't see this coming. I know he's had some wide receiver injuries, but good quarterbacks have gotten by and done well with less than this. So he's just really stepped back these last couple of years. Man, this would be the game for him, but yeah, now he's hurt for that. So I don't even know if we're going to get that out of him. I'm with you guys. It's hard to tout this team whenever we don't know who's going to be playing, who's not going to be playing. So if a backup quarterback is in there, and we know it's not Nick Foles anymore, that's probably a hard pass on all that receiving game for this team. And you stick to Sanders or whoever's the healthy running back is. But it's hard to really give a definitive statement on Philadelphia as of right now when we don't know what's going to happen with the injuries.
Could pull the siege, do the backup quarterback move, play some Josh McCown in some of the lineups. But I believe he's still the number 2 there. So I mean, I wouldn't hate the price is 5,400, so it's not like you're getting him under 5K or anything.
I mean, it's only 400 less than your starter, Wentz.
That's how bad Carson Wentz has been.
He's been bad, man.
It has been ugly. So I think McConnell, some of the pass catchers will be all right here. McConnell, revenge narrative. Pretty sure he played for Miami. Seems like dude played for every team, but we'll see. Philly, I think, is a spot you can attack. We're just going to have to wait and see how the injuries stack up. So let's take a look at the line. Philly, big favorites as expected, -9.5 chop. Total sitting at 45.5.
Oh, man. I can't. Wow. 9 on the road. Whew. For a bad Philly team, but a bad Miami team, but a bad Philly team. This is blowing my mind. I can't even make a pick. I'm going to have to abstain.
What's with this abstaining shit? Come on. Lay him on the table, and I'm taking the damn Dolphins. Here we go. You want to lay him on the table. Give me the Dolphins to make a run here at home. Not quite a money line bet, but I'll take the 9.5. Derek, what do you got?
Give me the under.
I thought you were going to abstain.
With no confidence whatsoever.
All right, let's move on. Last 1 o'clock game for us. A rematch of Helmet Gate. Cleveland and Pittsburgh going back at it. And unfortunately, Mason Rudolph, they're going to protect him and put him on the sidelines. Devlin Hodges just announced the starting quarterback for Pittsburgh as we were recording. So came in, had a nice ball to James Washington, who did the majority of the work. So people were saying Devlin Hodges comes in, throws an 80-yard touchdown. Washington was the majority of that. But point is 5,100 here at home, divisional game. Cleveland, couple good games in a row here, Derek. But tough matchup here on the road with Pittsburgh. So this one feels like San Francisco-Baltimore. Not that it's a Super Bowl showdown, but a game I want to be watching just to see if anything happens. But DFS-wise, I don't know that there's a lot here that I'm interested in.
Yeah, it's a lot like that Niners-Ravens game other than we don't want to watch it.
Teams aren't good.
Yeah. We don't want to watch it or target it. So, this one could be tough. If James Conner ends up being out, you could maybe look at Benny Snell. He ended up playing 50% of the snaps last week. Jalen Samuels has kind of been back to the pass catcher. He's not really getting a lot of work in the running game. So he could be interesting, and that's pretty much it for the Steelers. If you want to chase, Washington or a cheap Deontay Johnson, I suppose that's fine. I probably won't be going there. And then for Cleveland, I'm always fine taking a look at Odell Beckham in tournaments, but Jarvis Landry's pretty much played better than him the entire year. Again, last week, Chubb and Hunt are continuing to hurt each other's fantasy production. I know Chubb's still getting a lot of work, but it always worries me. You never want a guy or a running back where, if they get down to the 1 yard line, you don't even know if he's going to be on the field. So I don't really love anything here. Pittsburgh has one of the best defenses in the NFL. They're going to want revenge for what happened last time. So, yeah, I don't love this game.
Think we see any brawls here, Chop? Or are these teams going to be warned? Don't even try it. Think we get any extracurricular activity?
No way. There's no way. No way that they can have a brawl now. They'd get suspended for next year too. So I don't think that's going to happen. It's unfortunate. That's about the only thing that would have made us this game worth watching is if Mason Rudolph. If they could just reinstate Myles Garrett for this one game and then start Mason Rudolph, it might be watchable. Otherwise, this looks bad, man. Because like Derek said, Pittsburgh is one of the best defenses in the NFL this year. So I don't have any interest in Cleveland. I had enough of watching Odell try to do things against good defenses all year long. It hasn't happened. Yeah, he got lucky against Miami last week, the perfect matchup. But I don't trust him or Mayfield against a good defense, so I can take them off the list. His defense is good enough to probably contain Nick Chubb, who is now splitting time practically with Kareem Hunt, or they're in the same backfield a lot too. It's just taking some touches away from him every once in a while, it feels like. So I don't know if I want to go that route. In Pittsburgh, that's just a shit show on offense, man. I don't know. With all the injuries, nobody I can pull the trigger on there. Nobody feels good. So, can I tell you, the stupidest thing I did in my one season long league, I know you guys love the updates, was I told you how I drafted Kamara over McCaffrey in that number 2 spot. I'll always regret that if I don't win the Super Bowl this year. But the second dumbest thing I did was this past week, I outsmarted myself and I started Vance McDonald over George Kittle. What am I thinking?
Boy.
What am I thinking?
Boy.
Because everybody was like, "Oh, McDonald, he's got this old McDonald. He's got this he's got this great matchup, and everybody's heard he's going to do." Yeah, I outsmarted myself on that one, so it did.
No, he had 1 catch for 1 yard. Is that what he finished with?
That's pretty much what he did. And then I'm watching Kittle streak down the sidelines for a 61-yard touchdown, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, I might have made a mistake there, but it happens. You live and you learn. You know." So I just this offense is terrible right now, so I don't want any Pittsburgh offense either.
Did that cost you a W, I'm guessing?
It actually did not. I got lucky.
All right. Well,
I still pulled it out, but
points? So you could have added about 40 points here.
And that may come in handy. I'm still like.
Say, what's the standings looking like?
I think I'm on the verge. I'm the last guy into the playoffs as of right now, so we'll have to see how it plays out. But
all right, squeeze.
I tell you, I'm so disappointed in myself. I would be a powerhouse if I had McCaffrey, man. Golly, it's so stupid. What was I thinking? I should have listened to Silva, man.
Oh, that's always the answer. I should have listened to Silva for sure. All right, let's make some picks here on the spread. We got Pittsburgh. Hold on, lost my spot. Good podcasting here. Pittsburgh, where'd it go? Cleveland favored here. I'm surprised by that. Cleveland minus 1.5, 39.5 total, Chop.
Whew, man, this is a tough one. Yeah, man, I can't trust Cleveland anymore, so I'm going to take the under in this game. If I don't like a single player in fantasy, there's probably a chance that I don't think there's going to be many points scored, so I'm going to take the under.
I am going to go old man under here as well. I think Pittsburgh's going to try to run the ball a lot, and that's favorable to an under. And in Cleveland, I just don't see them being successful against this defense. So I can't bet on Devlin Hodges, but I will bet that Devlin Hodges is not very good and go with the under. Derek, what do you got?
Yeah, make it 3 for 3. I'll go under as well.
3. That may be the first under sweep we've had all season long. So take that one to the bank. Cleveland, Pittsburgh, under. All right, moving on to the 4 o'clock slate. We do have 3 games here this week, so a little bit better than last week. First one, Rams and Cardinals. Rams coming off that beatdown by Lamar Jackson. Arizona coming off a bye, so should be healthy, fresh, ready to go here, Derek. So I like Kyler Murray in this one. The Rams clearly couldn't stop Lamar Jackson. He is not Lamar Jackson, but a similar type player, mobile, and has gotten better week by week. So give me the Murray to Christian Kirk stack here for the Cardinals. What do you got?
Definitely don't mind Murray. He's a little more expensive than I'd like him to be. I'll probably just save and go with Foles, or maybe spend up on Mahomes. But I don't mind him here. Like you mentioned, he was just burned by Lamar Jackson, so certainly a decent spot. You can go to Christian Kirk. Jalen Ramsey hasn't been great since joining the Rams, so he plays mostly outside anyway. Kirk runs a lot of his routes from the slot, so I like Kirk. And then just keep an eye on David Johnson. In the game before their bye week, Drake played on 88% of the snaps, so if he doesn't look healthy, throughout the week, maybe we see another full workload for Kenny Drake. He's only 5,600. Maybe take a shot on him in tournaments. Now for the Rams, pretty much everyone's in play. They're going to be running a lot of plays against one of the worst pass defenses in the NFL. So I know Goff hasn't been great on the road, but he has been good in very easy matchups. So I like Goff. I can pair him up with Woods, Cooks, Kupp, pretty much any of them. All 3 of them are cheaper than we've seen pretty much all year. So, yeah, give me the passing game. I know Todd Gurley continues to play a bunch of snaps, but I just continue. I don't know. I'm never on the right side of Gurley, so with me fading him, everybody might want to load up on him.
There you go. Time to go back to Gurley, Chop. I can't do it. I mean, this guy is just – I think we had our time in the sun with Gurley, and that time has come to an end. But do you ever think you'd see David Johnson 4,600 on DraftKings? So – I don't know what's going on there. Drake's been the guy. Edmonds may be back, so I can't get excited about that, even at a bargain price. So running back's tough here to pull the trigger. But, again, Kyler Murray for me. Chop, what do you think here, Rams and Cardinals?
These 2 running backs in this game are along one of the many disappointments I was talking about earlier. Like the year's been filled with weird. Gurley, it was – I think it's a long-term thing, and I don't think we'll ever see Gurley back the same as he was before whatever injury this flared up on him. So I think those days have passed. And David Johnson, yeah, like coming into this year, I thought absolutely was going to dominate in this offense, and he's been anything but that. He's shown at times this year he's lost a lot of athleticism, and the athleticism is what made him so great there for that 2-year stretch. when he was young, fresh out of college. So these running backs, man, once they take a certain number of hits, and for every one of them it's different, but once they take that final hit that just saps all their athleticism out of them, they are done. And I think David Johnson may be done, as is Todd Gurley. So disappointment city, but the Rams offense in general, huge disappointment this year. You can definitely fire off some of the passing game. I would imagine this is going to be their best spot left this year. I mean, what else can you do here? You got your receivers are going to be healthy. I would think Cooper Kupp could finally have a good game here. He's been terrible for about 3 or 4 weeks now in a row, but Goff has been terrible. That's why Cooper Kupp's not been good. So Cooper Kupp maybe finally has a good game here. On the flip side, Arizona, it's going to be a tough one. Don't trust the running game. Don't trust Christian Kirk. I don't know. I got a feeling that he's the guy that would see the shadow coverage from Jalen Ramsey. So I don't know why would you stick Ramsey on Larry Fitzgerald, man? So I don't know if I trust the receivers there. Maybe just Kyler Murray by himself running. Maybe he runs for 100 yards this week. This is a tough game right here.
Yeah, don't forget tight ends against Cardinals. So Gerald Everett could be an option for you, kind of in that middle range as well. So don't hate that play at all. All right, we have. Man, this thing keeps shutting down on me here. Let me find the game here. Rams -3, 47.5 on the total, Chop.
Man, let me see. Rams. How can the Rams be favored right now? I got to take Arizona. I got to take Arizona.
Yeah, I'm taking the Cardinals in the points. I mean, they've been playing better lately. They were competitive at San Francisco for a while. Coming off a bye, the Rams, they're pretty much swirling the drain. So I think after getting thumped by Baltimore, they go into Arizona and lose this one. I think the Cardinals win, but I'll take them +3. Derek, what do you think?
I like that call, but I'll take the over. I always like to take the over in games where I expect both teams to be passing a lot.
All right, speaking of overs here, 51.5 on our next game, Oakland and Kansas City. So Oakland coming off a drubbing by the Jets is never good, but maybe a decent rebound spot here in a game. They're obviously going to have to score some points in. We get Patrick Mahomes back on the main slate for the first time in a while here, Chop. So highest total we have should be some fireworks. Who's standing out to you as some must-play options?
Yeah, I guess, man, I haven't read a whole lot about Tyreek since they had a bye week, and I'm a little worried. I'm not going to lie, a little worried about those type of muscle injuries that he had that caused him to leave the game last time out. So I don't know if he'll be 100%. He needs that speed. So I definitely want to play some Mahomes. I definitely want to play some Damian Williams. I think he has a strong game here. And then I'm worried about Tyreek, so maybe I stick with Kelsey. But these guys are all in play against this Oakland poor secondary. So all that Kansas City passing game is fine. For Oakland, I think you can fire up any. I think Josh Jacobs is in a fine spot this week. I think Tyrell Williams is in a good spot. Darren Waller, maybe he finally gets back on track. This is definitely the matchup to do it when you're playing catch up against Kansas City's offense. And Tyrell hasn't had a big week in a while. I think Tyrell maybe gets it going this week.
Yeah, I mean, Oakland, I think, bounce back spot. I love Jacobs here. Tough matchup last week against the Jets. Have been very good against the run. A great matchup here as long as he stays involved in the passing game. But guy I really like here, Travis Kelce, Derek, just owns this team. His best game of the year came against Oakland earlier in the season. Whether Tyreek's in or not, Kelce always seems to play well against Oakland. And then just keep an eye on the Kansas City running backs. Williams questionable, McCoy questionable. Darrell Williams is back in the mix. So I think there'll be value for somebody, whoever it is in that backfield. Just got to keep an eye on the injury report. But all the Kelce for me, Derek. What do you got?
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. As far as the backfield, it's hard to trust any of them. You know, Damian Williams kind of established himself as RB1 and then struggled in that first quarter. In their last game, McCoy came in, scored the touchdown. So he was getting more snaps, and then Damian Williams got hurt. So I don't really want to trust any of them. I know the price point's nice. I know the matchup's great. But unless one of them's out, if Williams or McCoy's out, then I'll play the other one. But if not, then I'll probably avoid it. Love Mahomes. You can play him every week. Don't mind looking at Tyreek, Sammy Watkins. Kelsey, like you mentioned, just crushes this team every time he faces them. His price point is a bit restrictive on DraftKings at $7,200. Definitely a better play over on FanDuel, $7,100. So I'd probably get my exposure to him over there. And then for the Raiders, Derek Carr, man, really struggled against the Jets. Had to have his brother step up for him and talk trash on Twitter. That was pretty embarrassing. He's supposed to be a teacher, and then he didn't even get the right grammar or whatever. That was pretty funny. But I think it's a good bounce back spot for him to get going. Like you mentioned, it's a great matchup for Jacobs, but I just don't know if they're going to be able to lean on the run too long in this one. They are 10-point underdogs. So I'll go to Carr. I'll go to Tyrell Williams. Hunter Renfrow was eating into his target share. He's out now, so that should open things up. Then Darren Waller, great spot for him. KC, 28th in schedule-adjusted fantasy points allowed to tight ends this season.
All right, Derek, we got 9.5 on the line, 51.5 on the total.
I will take the Chiefs.
This one's tough. I'm not going to abstain like you guys and be a wuss and not make a pick here. Kansas City. I want to go over, but Kansas City generally does pretty well at home, holding teams down. I'll go the Chiefs as well. I think the Raiders, after taking one thumping, come back and take another. So give me the Chiefs. Chop, what do you got?
Yeah, that's too many points for me. So I'm going to take the over.
Over it is. All right, last game here on the main slate, Chargers and Broncos. 4:25 start here. Chargers small road favorites here. Derek, finish us off here. Two teams, again, another interesting game, but kind of a low total here, 38.5. So how much DFS exposure do you want in this one?
Yeah, this one's pretty ugly. After Philip Lindsay, played on 64% of the snaps in Week 11. It was back to a 50-50 split in Week 12, and he disappointed in that good matchup last week anyway. So tough to trust them. I mean, you can always play him like in the afternoon slate because they are both cheap, Lindsay and Freeman. It's a pretty good matchup as well. Chargers are 27th in DVOA against the run, so I'm fine with them, but not core plays for me. The passing game just continues to get hurt by Brandon Allen. He's just not any good, so hard for me to trust Sutton. Patrick didn't do much. He's still 3K, so if you want to look at him, that's fine. Noah Fant has been Allen's favorite target, or one of them anyway. So I think there's some okay pieces for Denver, but it is a really low implied total. And then for the Chargers, tough spot for them. The Denver defense is really playing well. Chargers pretty much eliminated from the playoffs now. So I don't really know what I want to do with the Chargers. Probably just going to be an avoid for me. My favorite play would be Hunter Henry, but he's really expensive.
Yeah, I mean, that's the guy I'm looking at as well. But again, if I'm in that range, I'm probably finding a way to get to Kelsey. But Henry, for me, the Denver side of things, I mean, Sutton's been solid, but the Chargers have been pretty good against number one receivers. They get Derwin James back, so that's going to make it even harder.
Oh, Derwin James is coming back?
Yes, he is. So it's going to make it tough on any offense through the passing game or the running game. So Denver, I'm staying away from. Like you mentioned, the quarterback not been very good. Chargers, Keenan Allen has Chris Harris. That's a tough matchup. So maybe it's the secondary pieces there, the Mike Williams and the Hunter Henrys of interest. But really, unless I'm playing the afternoon slate, I'm probably just staying away from this game. Chop, finish this off here. Last game, Chargers and Broncos.
Well, I didn't know Derwin James was coming back. That's sheesh. I love it. Fire me. I'm gonna have to pick up my Chargers in my season long. I can fade Denver now completely, 100%. I can fade Denver. Feel good about it. Chargers coming off of a little extra rest here. Give me some Chargers players. Denver's run defense is good enough to probably contain Melvin Gordon a little bit, so I'd probably focus on Keenan and Big Mike Williams. One of them will have a good match. Probably Keenan will get the better matchup. Right, I gotta. Has Chris Harris been traveling into the slot? I don't even know. So
he's been pretty much shadowing for the most part. So he's done a pretty good job shutting people down.
Do some more research. Whoever draws Chris Harris is the guy I would most likely fade. But then again, that was supposed to be John Brown last week, and Brown got there on a touchdown at the end. It just happens sometimes. So yeah, I'll probably lean towards Keenan Allen at this point in time because Mike Williams is perpetually at the top of the buy low air yards model. He just can't get off of there because he can't score a touchdown. So give me the passing game here, though. Hunter Henry, all these guys, I like these guys in the passing game.
All right, last spread pick we got here, -2.5 for the Chargers. Again, total sitting at 38.5, Chuck.
Yeah, just coming off the bye week, I give me the Chargers.
I'm going Chargers as well. One of those, I just think they're the better team. Denver, frustrating there with them. I just don't think they have the talent to compete here. So I'll go the Chargers as a small road favorite. Derek, what do you got?
Yep, Chargers as well. More rested team and more talented team at this point.
All right, that'll wrap us up for the analysis for Week 13 on the main slate. Running out of weeks here, boys. So final thoughts here for the people. Chop, what do you got?
Yeah, so we're blowing past the Thanksgiving weekend, that extravaganza. So that means we're wrapping up college football next week, and that means the season's coming down, man. Won't be long for the NFL playoffs are here. So enjoy it while you got it. I know you're sitting back right now listening to this, eating some leftovers from Thanksgiving. Just remember, as always, as a very wise man once said, I like my desserts neutered. Please keep the nuts away from all my desserts and pies, okay? Thank you very much.
That is a horrible take. I like the joke and all, but, man, pecan pie.
Oh, I was just watching. Yeah, it just triggered me when I saw Al Smizzle on Twitter talk about the pecan pie. That's what triggered me, man. Yeah, that's pecan. Of all the nuts you can make a pie out of, that's got to be the nut low. Pecan is very, very low on the nut ranking.
Pecans taste like shit just eating them alone, no doubt. But you put it in a pie. It's that goo, the glaze.
I know it's the goo. So why, man? If they made it a cashew pie with that goo, I might think about it because cashews are the top of the nut chart right there.
Did we just invent a new pie?
Oh man, somebody get on that.
So you got to make it with the same goo, but instead of pecans, you put cashews in. Oh,
that actually sounds pretty good.
All right, somebody bake one of those and send it to my house, please, and we'll give you some swag or something. But that sounds good. So, getting the big man excited here, talking pies. Derek, what do you got here? Final thoughts, Week 13.
Oh, yeah, I can't top that. But thanks to everyone that left us a review on iTunes. I have those all tallied. I'm going to write them down, have my son pick one out for the prize for the little giveaway that we're having. Hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving. And my hot take of the week, Saquon Barkley, 150 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Bam. Well, I like it. Against my Packers. You had to get that last jab in there, didn't you, Derek? I like it. Good call there. But I echo your sentiments. Hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving with your family, friends, football. We appreciate you listening. As always, good luck here in Week 13. We'll be back, as always, next week talking Week 14. For Notorious, for headChopper, I am Beer saying salut. Best of luck this week, guys, and we'll see you next week.